Hello. Welcome, people, to the FURNcast episode number 24. Boom. We are here. It is me. Hello, I am Liam. It is Nathan. Hello, Nathan.
Hello. I'm glad you remembered what episode number this was, because I had.
I totally didn't look it up 15 minutes ago when I was setting up the stream.
Yeah, that's how.
Yeah. Everyone's doing well. We are enjoying our Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. Well, this is also my morning because I went to bed at 7 o'clock this morning. So I was awake for 23 hours or something. I may have. Where's my notebook? I got kind of into playing some Elite Dangerous, and I ended up doing a wing mission solo. And I you might be able to see this. I was tracking a load of details on this page of A4, and then making calculations on this one, and some on this one. And I actually now have a four sheet spreadsheet that's tracking all these details.
Amazing.
So I didn't actually go to bed until about 6:30, 7 o'clock this morning. So I actually only got up at 1 o'clock. I was like, oh, it's 1 o'clock. Oh, I've got to get up. I've got to eat something and have coffee and put a chair on.
Just be prepared. Be prepared.
So there may be a coffee break in the middle of this.
That makes it. There normally is, to be fair. I think I ended up going to bed sort of 2:30-ish.
That's more reasonable.
Well, it is. I was doing something on my phone, and then it was 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh!
I still had my glasses on. I still had my bedside light on. My phone was underneath my pillow. Not sure how it ends up underneath my pillow, but
well, at least it just take out your face. So
yeah. Chat says cannibalism, so there we go. And also says Swin says he's several pages worth of car setup notes for a team manager game, so understands your note taking.
Oh man, there's just something about going full on data nerd, isn't there?
I don't think I've ever done it myself, I'll be honest. I'm pretty sure I've always just done what's in the game. Actually, I say that. That's probably not true. I probably have at some point gone through and made all sorts of notes, and I just don't remember what it was. There's no way.
This is low key data nerding for me, because I used to play Heroes and Generals religiously, and there's a 1,000+ line spreadsheet of doing game tracking that I have, because there is no in-game win-loss rate calculus and average wins and this sort of stuff. So I built it myself in a Google Sheet. So it's thousands of lines of every game I played, the results, the costs, the credit returns, how much XP on average I've got in a game, how much XP to the next level, and how many games that's going to be. So yeah, I do have a history of data nerding on games sometimes. So,
that's fair.
But it's an MMO thing, I think. You've got to do a little bit of data nerding.
I was gonna say, thinking about it, I don't think I ever did it on paper, but I did it in my head for League of Legends. When I was a little bit more in tune with what was going on with game, I was very much right. I'm going to read through what's going on, what's the patch notes, what's happening. Right, that's patch note. Those changes have been made. What effect is this going to have on the game? I remember when they reworked Gragas and made some changes to him, and the first thing I did is I looked at him and went, he's going to be a top laner, and nobody else played him top lane, and things didn't work. He was bugged; his abilities didn't work properly, so he wasn't used. And then when he got fixed, he was immediately started playing as a top laner, and I was just there yeah, I said it. I said he wasn't a jungler. He's a goddamn top laner.
Claim it.
Yep, I'll lay claim at that one. I mean, it wasn't used because he was bugged.
Yeah,
but
that's besides the point.
Yeah, the fact that I did that and I actually made it work was pretty happy with that. Well, what we'll do is we'll get on with things. You know, we're talking about new things. We are working on a new thing for people at this moment in time. We are finally creating some Patreon exclusive content. Woohoo! For all of those patrons out there, or please be a patron. You get access just to plug the Patreon a little bit. You get access to early videos. So anything that goes out on the YouTube channel goes out on Patreon. Normally 3 days before it becomes public. So if you want to watch everything a little bit in advance, go be a patron. We've got 3 tiers. £1, because I can do it in pounds because they've changed that. £1, £5, and £10, depending on what it is.
If you want to pay in deers, you can send us 1 deer, 2 deer, or 3 deer. That is also an acceptable level. I will accept this as legal tender from wherever it is you're sending me a deer from. Please cover the VAT charges and
the shipping. Cover the shipping and the import.
And the import. I don't want to be paying the import duties on an entire deer for free.
In fact, potentially you could just send it to us already pre-packaged in ready-to-eat meat form.
Yeah, if you know a good butcher.
Yeah.
And have a vacuum packing machine.
Yeah. And then we just have food ready to go. We just have to cook it, do some experimentation.
Deer steaks.
Yeah, that could be entertaining. Or what we could use the hooves to create gravy.
No, you're missing a trick. You use the hooves and you use them as the base for tankards.
Well,
like drinking vessels.
Why not both?
Or candlesticks.
There's 4 hooves. Or potentially there are 12 hooves if they send us 3 deer. Is there a differentiation between stags and does? Not for the purpose of our consumption thereof.
Well, I mean, I guess stags possibly valued slightly higher because they have the big antlers that we can put on the wall.
This is true. You can use
stab
that.
each other with.
Yeah. Maybe you can make gravy out of those as well. save on the hooves.
Antler gravy. Oh gosh. Where are we going, man? Where are we going?
Into some sort of rabbit hole. We were talking about Patreon, and then
rabbit.
Rabbit. I've not had rabbit. I should have rabbit.
This is going to be an interesting episode.
This is going to be an interesting episode.
We've already diverted from the script.
Yeah. I think we diverted from the script from the intro, let's be honest.
Yeah. Pretty much bang on that.
Yeah. But so the Patreon stuff, specifically what we're doing is some hobbying stuff. We have 4 of us. It's me and you, John and Swin, who are building and painting a new 40k army each. Which is interesting and different. As Nathan subtly hints at what's behind his behind him. My stuff is not as easily viewable. I suppose I can get. There's a box here which I can at least get. Which is well hidden by my microphone. But boom. That's the army that I'm going for. We'll just put that back over there.
I mean, that box has just been casually in the background of my streams for the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, it has. So we're doing some hobbying stuff. We've each picked a new Warhammer 40,000 from Games Workshop army. Nathan's doing Tyranids, obviously. I'm doing Sisters of Battle. We've got Swin is going to be doing Iron Hands. I think it's Iron Hand. I might be wrong. Swin will correct me in chat momentarily. And John is
sort of Smurf army.
Well, he's not doing Smurfs because they're not blue. He's not doing Ultramarines.
Yeah, they're all still Smurfs. Come on.
And John is doing some Drakari. So we're all doing something. Most of us are doing something vastly different. Iron Hands. It is Iron Hands. I got it right.
Metal Smurfs. Cool.
Most of us are doing something vastly different to what we've done before. I believe. Your You're
Horde army.
you're still doing a horde army.
Oh yeah.
But you also-
I'm a masochist, so I am
Yeah.
doing the Horde army again, but they are very much a different sort of option as my usual army.
yes.
So I've gone from the humanoids bulk purchase option to the Xenos bulk purchase option.
Indeed, and you're going from lots of tanks and men on the ground to lots and lots of claws and teeth and always lunch. It's always lunch forever.
Always lunch forever. Talking about lunch.
Yeah, I haven't eaten yet today, and I'm kind of hungry, but I'm going to do that after this. I'll sort myself something out. I don't know what I'm going to have. We've got next to no food in the house, but I'll find something, or we'll go shopping.
Someone send this man a deer.
It is required. So we're doing that. It's a overtime blog in which we build up our armies. We focus on a individual model or unit over time, and spent a bit of time just building, painting it, taking lots and lots of pictures throughout the entire process. I'll wait for the motorbike to go past. There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for background noise. Oh, you're still there. There we go. So the way in which we're sort of doing it is we're going to have a monthly post that will be free for everyone to read, but this is exclusive to Patreon, so we're not going to go massively into detail into what you're actually going to see. There is some information that's going to be public on Patreon, so if you want to pay attention to what's going on, you can go at least follow the posts that come out on Patreon, and you can look at what there is to see and enjoy it. But the best way to do it is to become a patron, and then you get the full content. The reason being, we need a way to thank our patrons, to offer exclusive content, and we all enjoy our hobby, so we thought, let's put the two together. And then, like magic, we have stuff to do. So, yeah, it's going to be called The Tale of Fern Gamers, because, we're Fern, and we're gamers, and it's a play on A Tale of Four Gamers, which is what we were initially going to do. But, obviously playing battles right now is kind of difficult.
Yeah.
So we're just doing the hobbying part.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really play 40k via Discord or Zoom. It's a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably possible, but you miss out on a lot of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Basically.
You miss out a lot on the sort of intricacies and the enjoyment of being at the table.
Yeah, exactly.
I do believe someone was trying to create, I don't know whether they did it, someone was in the process of creating a add-on for Tabletop Simulator to play 40k.
Yeah, I had heard that there was one. I don't know how well it works.
I mean, I went looking. I didn't see one there on Steam, so I didn't. Maybe it is there now. But I know it was something. Someone, because I saw someone. It was like a blog post on one of the various 40k websites about, like, if you want to try an army but don't want to spend the money on it, then you could use Tabletop Simulator and just play the army and see whether or not you like it. I was like, that's actually very clever.
That's an incredibly good way of going, I fancy a change. Oh god, they play like awful things. No.
Yeah.
Well, I will have to go and double check that later on.
I'll have to look. Chat says there's a bolt action add-on, so yeah, there probably is a 40k add-on as well. There definitely wasn't a bolt action one when I went looking, so Tabletop Simulator has done well in the current climate.
Yeah. No, man, their sales must be through the frickin' roof.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's actually pretty reasonably priced. Like, I'm just going to tangent. Considering like the amount of content that actually in that game, like it's 15 quid, which is not bad. It's less the price of a single board game, and it's got like 50 plus, and all you've got the Steam Workshop stuff.
Yeah,
it's like that's a really reasonable price for that game.
It's not bad
for the
all.
level of content.
The thing I did notice for it is anything that's outside the base game you have to purchase again on top of. So like
my understanding is that some of the stuff's on Steam Workshop and it's free. So
yeah, some of it.
Install it.
Yeah, some of it will be. But it's all the stuff done by the developers will be an additional cost.
Yeah.
Which
I mean that's kind of reasonable.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's one of those games you pay £15 and then 4 years down the line you've got a game where you've got like £600 worth of content on it because you just kept buying bolt-ons. I say nothing. I didn't pay £15 to begin with.
I didn't say anything. I just gave you a knowing look.
Yes, well, it's right. I'm out of all of us. I am not the worst spender on it. So, yeah, looks to room behind Nathan. Oh dear,
Sam, we're calling you out.
Yes, we are. So that's something that's coming. You can look forward to seeing some hobbying stuff from us.
When can they see the introductory post on Patreon? When is that coming out for people to see and learn a little bit more in detail of what we're going to be doing?
The introduction post should be coming out this week. Final actual designated time doesn't yet, but it will be out on Patreon. So I say this week, technically next week. But
week beginning the 25th.
Huh? Week
beginning the 25th.
Exactly that. I am probably thinking it will be Friday. I want to say Friday. Looking at time schedules and things. Yeah. So you can keep an eye out on Friday. There you go, and you will see the first post coming out, which will better explain what is going on and what we're doing, etc., etc. There we go. As we've been speaking of hobbying, should we talk a little bit about the GW announcements from yesterday?
Yes, let's do that. That intro cinematic, awesome.
Mwah.
Why didn't you announce new fucking Astra Militarum models? My God! They took the time to animate female Cadian shock troopers and then didn't announce that they were going to bring Astra Militarum up from a sprue that they've been using for 20 fucking years.
Yeah.
But, it looks pretty.
Yeah, I mean, the intro was nice. It was a very well done intro.
They spent a lot of time building that. And
They did.
Fucking shows.
Yeah, it shows. It is. I am looking forward to the Dark Angels animated show, series, film, whatever it is they're doing with that.
Yeah, that's a animated series, and
Yeah.
that looked from like that preview. Well, I think that was preview 2, so that was like a month ago.
Yeah.
It looked awesome. It looked really awesome. I'm looking forward to that. I didn't actually see where they were releasing it, but I assume it's probably going to be on the new Warhammer 40k website.
Yes.
Because that's the thing now. They've got their own dedicated 40k website, which they've literally written it as 40,000, and I'm like...
Yeah, it's super weird that they've written Warhammer 40,000.
Yeah,
well,
I'd have gone with the K, because there's way too many zeros in that.
I mean, I guess the reason why they've done it that way is because it's to make it more findable for people who are new to the hobby. Because everyone who already plays is going to know it's Warhammer 40,000 even if they say K. But anyone going into the store is going to see Warhammer 40,000 and go looking for Warhammer 40,000, and then that will just make it that little bit easier to find, in theory.
In theory.
Plus, I suppose that's actually the name of the thing, just all their fans
Technically,
call it 40k.
Yeah, it's that colloquialism that no one ever calls it 40,000, everyone calls it 40k, because K is a lot shorter than saying 1,000.
Yes, it is. And everyone knows what it means. Yes, I agree. That's when it would have been nice to have it a little bit more focus on the Guard and the Necrons. It was very... I mean, to be fair, I'm not going to complain about the focus on the Sister of Battle. I personally enjoyed that greatly.
Oh no, I thought that was fine because they're still getting new content and stuff. But it was like yeah, we're gonna show off these new Necrons that we're bringing out, and the Sisters of Battle that we've just brought out, and we've had this massive focus on, and then it's like Smurfs, and I'm like, oh come on, why isn't it Sister of Battle shoving a knife through this dude's back?
Yeah.
Why not? Why add another fucking Smurf to the mix? Why not give the sisters with a chainsaw? Because that's the thing. Like later on, in where they do that massive rush, there are sisters with chainsaws.
Yeah,
and it's like, why the Smurf? Fuck the Smurf out the whole thing. Bollocks to the Smurfs. Have a sister chop the dude in half with her chainsaw.
Yeah,
badass. Doesn't need a Smurf. Because the monologue that the Ultramarine does could quite happily have been another Sister of Battle, or even the same one doing their monologue. And it's like what another thing we picked up on that was our enemies are legion and we are few, and it's like, yeah, Space Marines are few because you're limited to 1-to-1 replication. Where are all the lasgun blasts? You've got like 40 sisters and 20 ultramarines, and there are no lasgun blasts. I'm like, come on, guys. You know there are like 1,000 freaking guards standing somewhere going, aren't we meant to be shooting those guys? Aren't we meant to be there?
There was, because I watched it on YouTube on Catch Up, there was some things in the comment actually sort of explaining that because the Adeptus Astartes and the Sisters of Battles don't turn up until quite at the end of a fight. The Astra Militarum is there to eat the firepower and be eviscerated, because that's what happens, and then everyone else turns up to fix the problem. So the reason why there won't be 1,000 lasguns firing at them is because at that point they're actually all dead. It's
there were no corpses.
Yeah, I mean, there might not be corpses because you just see them when they got hit with their Gauss flares. They got literally disintegrated.
I mean, Gauss weapons do that.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. So,
Sizzle. I mean, that will. Oh, the particle physics on that was fucking beautiful.
That was
just
clean.
Like. Oh.
Yeah,
loved that. Absolutely loved that.
That was clean. It was enjoyable to watch. And basically, what this whole animated intro for was for the announcement of 9th edition 40k, because that's something that everyone saw coming.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's a nice, that's a pretty cool intro. Oh, they're gonna release some new Necron models, or maybe they're gonna do another animated series. 9th edition. What?
Yeah.
Hey, but 8th edition was only a few years ago. What? What's going on? Huh? I'm just so confused.
Yeah.
So confused by that.
Yes, chat. We have seen the new Necron models. We're going to go to the Necron models momentarily to discuss them, because I do have some stuff to say on those models. Yeah, the 8th edition. There is a 4-year cycle for rule sets, yes, but they've been bringing out so much new stuff for 8th. I was surprised at the Switch, and it doesn't feel like it's been 4 years.
No, it really does. It really doesn't feel like it's been 4 years. It feels like I was like, it can't have been 4 years. Like it felt like 2 since it's been out, but I'm like, yeah, and especially in recent weeks or months with Psychic Awakening. It didn't feel like we were on the cusp of a new rule set coming out.
Yeah,
it felt like they were sort of still rolling that creation cycle for the current rule set. But obviously, what they've decided to do is they're like, we don't want to have this just like blank period in the schedule where one edition gets its last content and then we go, all right, now let's write a new version.
Yeah,
and they go silent. So they've worked it so that they've got this sort of bridging content that works in both the old and the new editions of the game, which is really cool. Which is a really cool idea. That's a great way of like helping transition people across to it.
I do like it. It's very much, it's 9th ed, but it's going to feel like 8.5.
Yeah, that's the feeling I get. And I'm one of the big things when they were like, oh yeah, 9th edition, I was like, if you've just invalidated the codex I've just bought, I'm going to be really pissed. But no, they're like, no, it's fine. All the codex still work. I'd be like, yes.
Yeah, that's a super useful thing. And then they were also like, oh yeah, Psychic Awakening has been written with 9th edition in mind, which is like that is some clever foresight that you did not used to have.
Yeah,
And I am glad
you significant improvement.
Yeah. It also makes me very happy with the new Adeptus Sororitas codex, where I can be like, oh, okay, your Psychic Awakening was written with 9th ed in mind. I'm going to assume that was also written with 9th ed in mind.
Yeah, I get that, because it would be crazy to have written it for 8th ed and then literally 6-8 weeks later go, oh yeah, by the way, we're changing editions, you need a new codex. Everyone would be so mad.
Yeah.
But also it probably means that the Sisters book is probably a good basis for what all future codexes, well, at least what all 9th ed codexes are going to be like in terms of layout and power balancing, because it will literally have been written for 9th ed rather than 8th ed.
Yeah.
Because they knew that 9th ed was coming straight back out afterwards.
Which does speak volumes to how similar it's going to be, because I did not look at that codex and go, how does this work with these rules? The rules, it works. It runs the same way. So I'm looking forward to what 9th ed bring. They did talk about some of the changes to what's going to happen. The ones I'm specific, the couple that I specifically remember and I'm interested in is they're making some changes to line of sight and how that works. I can't. They weren't very.
They were not verbose
details
about how.
Yes.
But they talked about using terrain in a slightly different fashion as its current situation, which would be interesting. So it sounds a lot like not only will you be able to get cover save bonuses from terrain, but you can also use it for executing sort of maneuvers. So which is what I got from that 9 best bits of 9th ed thing.
Yes.
That's what I got from that.
Yeah. The thing, though, that I am properly happy about, even though I'm going to start using a lot more tanks. I do use some tanks, to be fair. Tanks in combat. Tanks can now shoot into combat that they are that they are in. They are no longer bogged down by infantry.
That was always stupid. It was like, it's a tank, it's covered in machine guns or plasma cannons. It just shoots through the fuckers.
Yeah.
It just goes, oh look, there's a squib in front of me. Burst fire. There's a red mist and someone over there died as well.
Yeah.
It's a tank, it doesn't care. Just flattens them or shoots through them.
So that's going to be quite a fun thing, just to be like, oh yeah, you actually have to think about how tanks get killed now. Because before it's just very much, I'm just going to send a chaff unit that's just going to continuously charge it and make that tank, take the tank out of the game continuously. You can't do that because it doesn't do anything. It does make me wonder if the reverse is going to be true. Tanks can shoot out of combat, but you can shoot at tanks in combat.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be some level of balancing to it, for certain.
And then...
there's something else about tanks I was thinking of. Oh yeah, tanks, blaster weapons. I'm not sure how much of a fan I am of their blaster weapons thing, because it doesn't like blaster weapons. So like cannons, frag launchers. These are going to do maximum damage to units, and I'm like, I'm not sure I'm a fan of that.
I missed that. Is that one of the things they said?
Yeah. Big guns do max damage to hordes. So blaster weapons, which is like one of the examples of frag missile launchers, do max damage to squads, and I'm like, I'm not a fan of that, because I play a horde army, and literally everything I have is hordes of fucking minis, and they don't get save anyway, and they already get fucked by big weapons enough.
Yeah, I'm not.
It depends on how it's implemented and whether or not their wording is just not quite as clear as they intended it to be. But if it is literally your plasma cannon, your las cannon, whatever, it does max damage to squads of more than the things that aren't characters, I'm going to be like, that's going to hurt.
I imagine, you know, it might have a model count thing. There's like a frag grenade, a frag rocket only does like d6 shots. So if you're firing that at, it doesn't make sense for a thing that does d6 shots if you're firing at a unit of 5 for it to hit 6 people.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they'll make changes. They do have some weapons already that, like, when you shoot them at units of 5 or 10 or more, they have an increased number of shots. So maybe it will run along the lines of, oh yeah, if you fire a frag missile at a unit of 30 orc boys, it will have 6 shots. That's what it's going to do. Which, I mean, yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I can see reasons for why, because a lot of the big, like, what used to be big template weapons, like anti-horde measures, don't exist anymore. Like, they've
I think that's what they're trying to rebalance. Is they took out all the templates and then they sort of oversimplified a few other things, and it's gone, ooh, actually, yeah, we took slightly too far a step to bring it back. But it definitely, I think it's going to come down to how it's actually implemented and how it plays in the game as to where it sits. But just from the way it was worded, I'm like, I don't need Ultramarines that are already stupidly hard to kill because they've got like perma saves, nuking my entire unit every single turn and taking out maximum number of units that I don't get saved against.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see that one. That's definitely one to watch and see what happens. I think the big thing I can see becoming a problem with that are anything with a flamer.
Oh god.
Because getting hold of things like frag launchers or demolish guns, etc., it's like the actual really big, scary, multiple shot things. For the most part, it's hard to get hold of lots of them. But like,
you can stack out teams with flamers with no trouble in most armies.
I can just look at my 1,000 Suns and I can have a troop unit that is armed with 10 flamers.
Yeah.
And if they get to just do maximum number of hits against a unit of like 5 or more or 10 or more, I already split my fire nicely amongst things and try and destroy as much. When I do that, I'd be like, okay, I don't need to throw 5 at that just in case I roll poorly. I can literally be like 4 people that, like 3 people at that squad, 3 people at that squad, 3 people at that squad. Because I can do that now because they're each getting 18 hits.
Yeah, and like my scout sentinels can all take heavy flamers and chainswords. It'd be like, right, so they move, charge, and then flame a squad. It'd be like, well, whoever they charge, dead. Because three heavy flamers is just gonna, if they're doing maximum hits, that's just gonna absolutely rip a squad apart.
Yeah. We'll see. I guess, yeah. Keep an eye on that one. See what happens. There are ways in which I can see it working out. There are reasons for why I can see you doing it.
Yeah, for sure. Like I say, yeah, it's definitely going to come down to implementation.
Yeah.
Not that they actually said when this new edition is coming out, so we don't actually know when we'll see this new rule set come live. So this still may be a few months off. Or it's definitely going to be a few months off.
Yes.
So
still a few months.
I get the feeling that they're still play testing some elements of it, and it's not actually gone into production yet. So
I think if I remember correctly, it was something along the lines of Psychic Awakening. It's Psychic Awakening is due to finish before they bring out the new edition.
Yeah.
Although I think Psychic Awakening's only got 1, maybe 2 books left. So yeah. So very well we could be looking at a new edition in 2 months, 3 months time. Maybe more delays.
September. I'm thinking September is probably when we start seeing things.
Yeah.
But it depends on whether given the current situation and most commercial printers possibly not being open. Printing, packaging, and shipping like a big book like that is going to be slightly logistically challenging at this point in time.
Yeah. Yes.
So, I mean, obviously that's going to come into play as a limiting factor as to when we actually see the books coming out.
Yeah.
But I wonder whether or not they'll release it as planned, just with we will print and send the books when we can. But here, there's a digital edition.
Yeah. Yes. Which the digital edition, they are bringing out a new app, which is wonderful. It is going to be an app. We don't know whether it's going to have any cost attached to it or anything like that, but it is an app in which you can build an army. It is an army builder list. It's going to have your codices in it. It's going to have all sorts of other stuff in it. I assume it will be news in there as well, which is pretty cool. And the thing that I really, really like, and I'm super happy they're doing, is when you buy, if you choose to buy a 9th edition codex, because apparently you don't need to. We'll see what happens there. You may choose to, but when you buy a physical codex, it comes with a free code to get it to you digitally on the app. So,
finally, they've joined the 21st century.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Modifius have been doing that for ages.
Yeah.
And it's a really great way of doing it, and it reduces the level of piracy. And it's just a bloody good idea. And the fact that they've not done it is just it's been a bane point to a lot of people for a long time, that you've got this like 30 quid book, codex book, and then you've got to pay 20 quid for the digital version, when you're like, all I want to do is stick it on my tablet so I can play without carting around like 5 kilograms of additional books I don't really need. I just want to be able to quickly reference something.
Also, the advantage of a digital product is when you put out an errata, you can adapt the writing on the product. You can't do that in physical product. The physical product, you've got to be there like, right, I've got my book. Where's the errata? I've got to do the errata, right. Does the it's annoying, but yeah, I do think a major reason why they haven't done it before, well, they had their digital stuff previously, but it was only available on Apple stuff. So I feel like they had an exclusive deal with Apple, which has just run out.
No, they just couldn't be bothered.
I mean, we'll see what happens, because I mean, if it's, because it was always interesting to me that you could get it on Apple, but you couldn't get it on any other thing. I always just assumed it was like a.
They didn't have an exclusive deal. They just never bothered to build out their offering. Yeah, cool. They just never bothered. And they could charge ridiculous figures for it and keep it on Apple. And they were like, you know what, fuck it. We're gonna charge 75% of the price only for Apple. And that's fine. That works for us.
Yeah.
And now they've gone, maybe we should offer it to everyone, and maybe at a slightly more reasonable price. And also, oh look, here, have a copy because you bought a copy. Because it costs you nothing to give that copy away.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people that have got the book just won't buy the digital edition.
Yeah.
And they'll just complain that you don't provide it.
Yeah. And go find it elsewhere, because you can do that.
Because you can do that.
But it is a nice. Obviously, the big caveat with this is we don't yet know how much the app is going to cost, because it is not going to be a free app. There is no way it is going to be a free app. No. There's going to be some sort of cost. Yeah,
it's from what they were saying, it's essentially it's a clone of the Age of Sigmar companion app that is just being rebranded for 40k. So whatever the cost of that is per month is pretty much guaranteed to be the same.
Actually, now you've said that, I did just think of the Age of Sigmar one, and I actually think the Age of Sigmar one is free. Oh. Now that I think about it, yeah.
I would be amazed at GW not trying to capitalize on something and squeeze more money out of their user base. That's entirely on brand for them.
It is indeed, but I do believe. It's free. It is genuinely free. Although,
is there a subscription?
Not that I can see. I'm just quickly looking at the online version. But I mean, I'm not sure how in detail the Age of Sigmar app is. Whether it's just you can just go through and be like, I add this unit in and I put this items on it, but you don't actually see any of the stats or details on them.
I don't know because I don't play Sigmar, but
Yeah.
from the chat on Twitch and the discussions that was being held between the presenters, for lack of a better term, panelists, that's the word. It sounds like basically everyone that plays Sigmar uses that for codexes and army lists. So I imagine it does include all the rules.
Okay. Well, and yeah, it might legitimately be a free app, which is going to be the weirdest thing. I guess they've probably looked at things and realised that everyone uses Battlescribe, which is free.
Because it's free.
And if they...
Unless, of course, you want to pay to get rid of the adverts, but...
Yeah, which very few people do. Well, I imagine some people do because they want to support Battlescribe because what they do is amazing. But I guess they've just looked at that and gone, well, people who want to use this app, if they don't want to pay for the army builder bit, they're not going to pay, so we're not going to have anyone do it. And other people who might be interested in paying might just be like, oh, I can just spend the money on other stuff instead. And still use Battlescribe, which, you know, functions perfectly well.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing with Battlescribe is that every time I open it, I have to update it for new data, and I'm like, well, that's not the worst thing in the world. you get the current errata and you get the updated points if they've changed things, and it's like, oh, good to know.
Yeah. We might actually, it might just be a completely free app, which would be pleasant. And I'm looking forward to see what it does and how it works. And just sort of see what goes through it and what goes into it.
Yeah, it will be very interesting to see. So I can see them sort of integrating the Warhammer community sort of feed into there as a news thing.
Yeah.
And maybe their Twitch channel and some other things like that, some multimedia stuff, as well as a list building sort of army building section and like a digital books catalog.
Yeah.
And I mean, if they do it well and they put the money behind it and get a good team to build it, then it could be a really, really great resource for the hobby to have. And especially if they do put it out for free, it's going to be a really great thing for veteran players and also new people coming in. Because it's going to be so much easier for new people to build lists using that. With this is the official app to do it with, this is how everything works, than trying to work out how to use Battlescribe and what you need, or trying to do it on paper and going, well, what this and wait, what? So I think that will help sort of new people as well as provide a great resource for vets.
Exactly that. Yeah, I mean, I remember whenever I have to reset Battlescribe up because I get a new phone or whatever, I'm always like, wait, how do I add in these depository files again?
Yeah.
Where do I go? How does this work?
I remember the first time I set it up, I somehow managed to pick the wrong Astra Militarum data file, and I was like, but where are half the things? Why are there only like 5 units? What's going on? And I'm not sure what on earth the data file was that I had, but it wasn't the right one. And it took me like 3 attempts to get the right one.
Potentially, it was either the index version, or it might have been a prior edition, because I do have some prior edition stuff on there.
I think it was the index.
Yeah, the index would probably be the big one because the index was a little bit more. It was weird in how the index was laid out. Speaking of new players, there are new warriors to look at. We mentioned them briefly earlier. The Necron warrior sculpt, which. Okay, so there are a couple of things I want to say. In terms of like basically the reveal model animation thing that they did was pretty cool. I did like the way they revealed the new models. The Gon is the weird green slotty slidey thing.
Yes. I don't think anyone's going to miss that too much. No, they're not. So that's a nice change. There seems to be a little bit more detail on the models, which is nice. I was always interested in Necrons.
they always interested me, but I always looked at the model and went, I don't want to paint that because I don't want to just paint one color repetitively over everything.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like, doing a quick loop back to Tale of Fern games, like I had two choices that I was looking at, and one of them was Necrons and one of them was Tyranids, and I went, I don't want to spend 12 hours a month painting silver.
Yeah.
And literally nothing else. Because that's literally their paint scheme. It's like, you paint silver. You just paint fuckers silver, and that's it. You do some edge highlighting and you paint fuckers silver, and I'm like, nah, that's not going to be fun. Like, I enjoy painting, and painting silver for that much time, it's just not interesting.
Yeah.
That as a concept, I've always enjoyed Necrons.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just needed things that weren't just silver.
Yeah. So they've got, without that plastic thing in, they've got the a new barrel for the gun, which has got a bit more detailing on it, got more stuff you can add to it. They have a second
new gun.
Yeah, they have a second gun option. Or a third gun option? No, second, yeah, because they could only be guns armed with their gun slayers. They've got a new gun option, which is super cool. Cool for them. I did agree with the Twitch chat in the actual video when they watched it. And it's when it zoomed in on that face. That face kind of looks derpy.
Yeah, but GW have a history of faces that look derpy. Let's be honest.
They do.
Have you ever been introduced to the Astra Militarum?
Yeah. But those are old models. They don't, for the most part, their new stuff they do pretty well. But there was just something about that face was like.
Well, but then they got back to was it Pete Foley they were talking to? I think it might have been. And they're saying how the reanimation protocols haven't quite taken, and that's why they've got like intestines holding out and like chips and things coming off. And I'm like, oh right, okay, maybe that's why the face is a little bit puckered. It's because like they haven't been reanimated properly, and that tech scarab is like. Excuse me, Mr. Necron, half your face is the wrong place.
It was just funny that the people discussing it were going on and about the new sculpts and how pretty they are and the new gun and the new option and whatnot, and chat was just like
just ignoring
face. Face. You know, the new gun is cool, but what about that face? Why are you doing this to the face? But
it's a face only a mother could love.
But it was only that intro, like the intro video and that face. When they showed the like 5 models standing next to each other, I was looking at the face, being like, which one was it? None of them actually looked that bad.
No, they like all the models looked fine.
Yeah, it was just whatever one they used for that intro apparently just had the derpy face, the derpy cron.
Derpy cron.
Derp cron.
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. That was a prototype.
Yeah.
That was like one of the first ones out, and they went, excuse me, sculptor, please do something about this part of the mold. Craft knife. Yes, please.
But outside of that, the model looks, it looks cool. I'm excited for new models. Not all the new models that we would have liked. For some reason, there's a new Space Marine, Primera Space Marine with a chainsword.
Fuck Smurfs. Do I go back onto my gripe? Oh my god.
Yeah.
They can't give anyone something without giving Ultramarine something as well, and it's so annoying. I know. The whole default option is Ultramarines, and everyone loves Ultramarines apparently. But Jesus Christ. If you're giving one faction something, it doesn't mean you also need to give the Ultramarines something. Especially after they gave Ultramarines a whole bunch of shit, like 2 previews ago, and didn't give anyone else anything.
Space Marines, not just Ultramarines, Space Marines in general, but
Space Marines in general, yes. Yes, Gene Seeders don't always need to gain something.
Yes.
They don't require to have all of the stuff in the universe, though they would very much like to have all the stuff in the universe, because they are slightly chaotical. Other races and factions exist and would like some new models. Thank you, Games Workshop.
Yeah.
Tyranids and Astra Militarum need new models. God damn it, please clean up your molds.
Although it does imply that the big enemy for the new edition is going to be Necrons, which is super cool.
Yes.
Something to look forward to. There's been lots of talk of the Silent King returning.
There was so many Silent King comments in chat. Like, for the entire time. There must have been like 10,000 channel points spent for highlighting the Silent King in that chat alone. It was amazing to watch.
Which, for those people who didn't know, because I didn't know when I first heard the term Silent King, I had to go look it up because I was interested. He was the king of the Necrons before they came Necrons. He was their king when they were still mortal flesh and bone. And he's the one who made a deal with the Catan, Catan to fight the Old Ones. They enabled their Necrons to turn into immortal beings, and in the process betrayed them.
Of course, because deals with like ancient deities and such could never possibly go wrong.
Yep. But he made that deal. He is responsible for the shattering of the Catan. That's why there are Catan shards, and why there are Tesseract vaults in which the Catan are trapped. And following that, he left the universe to go do other things.
Later, bitches.
Yes. But it was said that he would return when the Necron time would rise again. So he's coming back.
Yeah, it's a pretty good hint that he's coming back.
Yeah. So yeah, we can look forward to seeing what the big daddy of Necrons can do.
Well, I mean, are we actually gonna see him, or is it going to be entirely lore?
No, we'll see him. We'll see him because we're getting Primarchs. And we're getting.
Are they actually releasing Primarchs for all of them?
I mean, we've got
So
a bunch already.
There's a handful out. I mean, he's got to be on the same level as those guys.
Yeah, and we're getting things like Ghazghkull Thraka has been upgraded to new edition. Abaddon has been upgraded to higher tier stuff. All of the big names. Oh, bigger.
On the whiteboard behind Pete Foley, one of the things in his list to do: build plastic Thunderhawk, write rules for Angron. You're like, okay.
Yep.
Do that one, please. That'll be interesting.
that might just be him trolling.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100% trolling. But They were three brilliant pieces behind his head, and it was absolutely 100% designed for trolling. But it was like, I see what you did there. I see.
So, I think we'll see a model and rules for him on the table. I think he's going to be an absolute beast. He's going to be.
It will be interesting.
He's going to be one of the ways I think the Necrons are going to be able to handle psychic powers a bit better. Because he's going to come with stuff that will let them handle it.
Yeah, I could see him being able to do some sort of psycho stuff and not be totally fucked by it.
Cool. So new models, new stuff.
I saw the changing of the rules for flying units, and I was like, just to jump sideways. And I was like, it's a shame that the Astra Militarum flying units are all so expensive. Then I went on Forge World and went, oh, they're not all as expensive as I remember them being. Interesting. Some of them are only 70 quid.
Amazing. I obviously missed this rule as well. What are they changing to flyers?
So flying off the board no longer destroys your unit.
Oh, amazing. Okay.
Because that was derpy as hell. They no longer fly into a wall that doesn't exist.
Cool.
So you can go. You can do strafing runs back and forth.
Amazing.
And
okay.
They no longer block ground units.
They didn't block ground units before. That was a recent errata.
Yeah.
Earlier this year.
They're rolling that in.
Yeah.
so
makes
that
sense.
they no longer stop ground units from moving around for some stupid ass
Yes.
reason.
Because
I suspect that blocking thing was mostly to do with the fact that there's a base on the board.
yeah. It might still have the base thing, because it's the current errata has the base thing, that you can't stand on the base or stand within an inch of the base. But before you couldn't move over it, whereas now you can essentially ignore it for the purpose of movement.
Yeah. But the big thing is that you no longer have to try and like jink around the board to avoid accidentally flying your units off the board and giving your enemy victory points for no apparent reason, because the game is going, no, this thing that flies at Mach 2, it couldn't possibly go, okay, well, I'm going to do a strafing run, bank, and come back.
Yeah.
No, you're going to fly into a mountain, dear pilot. You're going to fly into a mountain.
Yes. I imagine it's probably going to have something that says it can't leave and enter, or enter and leave on the same turn.
Yeah, I suspect there'll be if it leaves on one turn. I suspect it can enter and leave on one turn, but I don't think it'll be able to enter, leave, enter. I think that there'll be a turn gap or something.
Which actually, they are making changes to strategic reserves as well. They said nothing about that. They just said they're going to make changes.
So you can bring on reserves basically any turn in the game, and you can bring them on from any point on the board. Right. So including behind your enemy.
See, they changed that because people were doing turn 1 stupid drops that were eviscerating armies before they could do anything. So I'm confused as to why they would do that, bring that back. I guess we'll see.
I don't know.
We'll see what they're doing.
I don't know.
Yeah. Because it was things like
drop podding Grey Knight straight into your enemy and just going, oh yeah, you're dead.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, if a Grey Knight drop pod lands on the squad, it kills the squad.
I mean, you couldn't land on things because you had to land 9 inches away.
But yeah, they then just charge you because they're within charging range, and it's like, well, get fucked.
The big thing used to be Raven Guard, because they could deploy their whole army just outside that 9-inch bubble. So it would be like turn 1, none of their armies on the board.
Yeah.
And then they bring it all on and just
you should never have been able to have the entirety of your army off the board. Like, that should never ever have been a thing. Like, there should have been a minimum. You have to have a minimum number of units on the board at the start of the game. I
think there was something like. I think the Raven Guard were weird because they could deploy like that as well, which is the other.
Oh, did they technically deploy, but they were off board? Ugh. Yeah. Weirdnesses.
So it would just be like, oh yeah, cool. It would be like, the Raven Guard players going first because they know they're going first. And then they'll just put everything there. They'll go first, and then turn 1, everything will move, and then it will shoot. And before you can do anything, half your army's dead.
Yeah, that would suck.
And then they charge what's left, so it still can't do anything.
Yeah, so then you're stuck in combat and you can't even shoot the fuckers.
Okay, I think. Yep, go for it.
Talking about things that are changing, Crusade.
That
sounds interesting. I am very interested in that.
Yes,
like thematically based series of campaign games. Yes, please.
Yeah,
that is definitely way up my street.
It's something GW have been very poor at doing, is offering easy to use tools that enable to run a narrative campaign. You sort of if you don't know what you're doing, there's no starting point. There's no easy way of doing it. Whereas this is just like, you get to, from what I remember, you get to give like special keywords and special abilities and whatnot to things that survive battles, and you just continue using it and roll stuff forward. And it's just like, that is, yes.
Yeah, one of the examples was once your Ultramarine gets too beaten up and bloodied, become a dreadnought, and it gets encased in his tomb for the rest of time. I was like, that's kind of neat. That is kind of cool.
Yeah,
because I mean, that really speaks to me as like something to actually give purpose to why these groups are fighting, and that just adds that extra touch and that really does it for me.
Yeah. Okay, I think unless you want to say anything more about sort of just hobbying in general, some of the GW announcements or the
Q&A on Tuesday, which may well answer some of the questions that we've got. So if I wasn't streaming, I'd tune in, but otherwise I'm going to watch it back.
So watch it backwards. So GW will be doing a Q&A on their Twitch channel, which will be twitch.tv/Warhammer. Yes.
Warhammer, yeah.
It's not Warhammer TV, that's the YouTube channel. Okay, so we're gonna we'll take a quick little break for the end of part 1, and we will see people back here momentarily for part 2, in which we're going to be talking video games. We'll talk a little bit about Metro Exodus, some Dark Souls, and we're going to get angry. Hello, we are back for... let me maximise that, there we go. We are back for part 2 of episode 24 of the FURNcast. Hopefully you didn't miss us too much. And we're going to spend a bit of time just talking about video games now. Because we haven't done that enough recently. Nathan, on the stream, your stream on Tuesdays, you've been playing, or you've just finished playing Metro Exodus.
Indeed. I'm attempting to type a tweet at the moment, but yes.
That's fair.
I have indeed just finished playing Metro Exodus. What is their Twitter handle?
Probably at Metro Exodus or something along those lines. Metro Exodus is, I think, a part 3 of a series, the Metro series. I want to say part 3.
3 or 4, yeah. But it's the post-apocalypse in a slightly different fashion to the usual. Well, sort of different from the usual, sort of the same. The world has been nuked to buggery, and you, well, at least in the first games, are subterraneanly living under the city of Moscow in amongst the metro system, hence the name. And you've got to do your bit, and you are a soldier. But in Exodus, surprisingly given the name, you are in fact breaking out of Moscow. You leave Moscow behind, having at the end of the previous game found out that what is thought to be the truth is in fact not correct. You have in fact been lied to by the sort of the controlling groups, and that Moscow is not the only place that has survived the war, but they have in fact there's a conspiracy to shield and contain Moscow, block people from knowing about the outside world and what's happened there. But Artyom, the main character, and a group of other Spartans, who's this group that he's part of, they get a big old train and they ram their way out of Moscow, because he's like, I've heard this radio signal, there are people outside here, I know people outside of Moscow live, let's go. They're a better place to live than underground in Moscow, where there's this constant fights of there's the fascists and communists and these other bandit groups, and everyone is just fucking killing each other all the time. Let's get out. Let's find a place to actually live like people again. And so in Exodus, you follow this group as they attempt to traverse vast swaths of Russia in a train, keeping that going, finding supplies, and fending off other bandits and such that you find in the wasteland, as expected, and just sort of seeing how that story, those relationships develop, and how they manage to actually get themselves across this huge continent, and whether or not they manage to find somewhere they can actually in fact set up a new settlement, somewhere that gives them that ability to have a proper life. And I won't spoil the ending for people, because one, there are quite a few, and two, you want that payoff at the end, so I won't spoil it. But it is awesome. I really enjoyed it. The storyline's fantastic. The soundtrack is killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching from the sidelines playing through it. It's a different game. I am happy I watched it and not played it. I will say that much.
Too many jump scares for you.
Yeah, it would have made me kind of uncomfortable. But it was a well played out story. It was a very pretty game as well.
Yeah. It was one of the things that when Nvidia started launching RTX cards, one of the bits in Exodus was one of the scenes that they actually used in the demo to show off the light, which is why there's so many light modes and like really cracking light work in that game. Because it was partly designed to sort of maximize on the RTX technologies.
I see. That makes sense. Yeah. It's different from the other games, not just in terms of like you're no longer underground, but some of the mechanics work a little differently. They fix some of the problems essentially.
Yeah, well, in the games where you are in fact in the metro, because everything is so violent and it's this constant battle, bullets are currency.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to balance this. You've got sort of like two tiers of bullets. You've got like standard ones and then like military grade ones. And obviously military grade ones are worth a fuckload more than standard bullet. Mm-hmm. So you've got to balance this, having enough ammunition to shoot the things that come up against you, mutants and people, and also having enough cash or currency to buy supplies and medkits and whatever else you need to actually make your way through the storyline. But in Exodus, that they've gotten rid of that because there isn't trading. They've taken out the trading element, so bullets are now come in. You've still got like two forms of bullets. You've got like incendiary bullets and standard bullets. But you no longer have sort of this distinction between two different grades of bullet. But what they have instead is, so they've removed trading, then what they have is crafting instead. So you've got to go around and collect materials like metals and scraps and chemicals in order to craft bullets and gas mask filters or med kits. But also you've got 3 weapon slots and you can upgrade and swap out guns to sort of match how you prefer to play. Like silencers, long barrels on revolvers, or you can make a revolver into a sniper rifle, or you can have your machine gun as your SMG as a burst fire, or multi-fire mode, silenced pistols, or just as fast and big as you can get. It does give you a lot of sort of make it your own gameplay element there, which I found quite nice.
Yes, it makes it's always nice to look at something and be like, oh, I can do this my own way. I don't have to play. I don't get given this gun that I dislike and I have to use continuously because it's my only option.
Yeah. But a nice way was that you didn't have all of the customization options just from the get-go. You had to I don't want to say unlock because that suggests it's like a progression thing that linked to where you are in the story, but it was more you would scavenge another gun and you might find a character or like an NPC. General Goon has got a gun that's got a customization part on it, and once you've scavenged that gun, you can now use that customization part from a crafting table on that weapon now. So the more people you interact with and kill, the more customization options, the more options you have of building out that loadout that you want, which I found was quite an interesting way of doing that. And there's a couple of other like locked in saves you might find, like gun parts.
Yes, it definitely rewards looking around and finding the bits.
Yeah, it's always had that exploration element, and they maintained that well. Even with the slightly larger, slightly less linear map design, though saying that like that some of them there's about 2 or 3 chapters in it that have got that truly do open world air quotes. And it's more open world elements than truly open world, because you're limited to this one area at a time. But it's a lot bigger. It's a lot bigger than the last games were.
It's very much, you get to an area and it's like, you've got these 4 things to do. Go do them. We don't really care how and when and which order. Just
pretty much
go do, and then you can still just walk around and do none of them for as long for ages if you so choose. Yeah,
just bum about for a few hours and enjoy the wasteland, which was pleasant enough.
Yep.
And you have your VW camper that survived the nuclear holocaust, because of course it did.
Yeah.
That just bounces around and is driven by a bent bit of rebar, because that's what a steering wheel is after everyone's been nuked to buggery.
Yeah, after the plastic melted. And that's what you've got left.
But the seats are fine. So what the seats made out of?
The flesh of the fallen?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Lightly toasted. It's been fun to watch. We're not doing a massive in-depth review of it. We're just sort of talking a little bit about it because it's finished. You're playing the DLC at the moment. You finished.
I've actually just finished the DLC.
Yeah, because you finished Sam's story. You've just started Colonel's.
No, done both of them. The
you've done them.
One's really quick. Yeah,
funny.
So you got Sam's story, which is the larger of the 2 pieces, which is probably like 6 to 8 hours of playtime.
Yeah,
and then you've got 2 Colonels, which is really heavily focused on the sort of second to last cutscene of the game, basically.
Yes.
It sort of gives a whole mass of context to what happened. You get to see the other side of the story, because obviously you only ever see Artyom's side of things, but 2 Colonels shows you the other side, the other viewpoint on what happened in that cutscene, and it's about 2.5 hours, I think, and there's a lot of cutscenes in it.
Which it does
but
some.
It was good.
The perspective shifting was clean.
Oh, it was so good. Some of it was just like, oh wow, we've moved. What? It's crazy. Whoever it was that was directing that was just absolutely on point.
Yeah, agreed on that.
They did a fantastic job on doing that.
Yeah, I guess I didn't see I did not finish watching the end of that particular stream because I needed sleep.
That's
so
fair.
Did not realize it had actually been completely finished. There we go. We do know it has been announced there is a 4th game coming.
At some point. The writer of the Metro series, because obviously the games are based on a series of books. I won't even try to remember the guy's name because I've completely forgotten it, and I'm not going to try and pronounce it.
No.
But yeah, he has confirmed on like Instagram or Twitter that he is working with Deep Silver 4A on another game. So I'm really interested to see where they take this, because I thought that Metro Exodus was going to be the last in the series.
Yeah.
But it turns out that they're doing another one. And I wonder where they're going to go with it.
Yes.
Because they changed up the format in this one. I wonder if they're going to change up the format again and go more Fallout-y? Or are we going to get a time jump? Or are we just going to see a different main character coming in?
Yeah, cool. It's super weird because where
interesting.
Where it's ended is a bit like I don't see where you go from here.
Yeah, the only way I see them continuing on from the end of Exodus without either a time jump or a character swap is by going into a more Fallout style gameplay loop.
Agreed on
which
that.
I'm not against, because I love Artyom, and I love the whole Metro gameplay thing.
Yes.
And if they make it more base buildy and Fallout-y, I'm okay with that as long as they do it well.
Yes. Yeah. And I've been playing Dark Souls. I've never played Dark Souls before. I am
die again.
Many deaths. I am playing on a PC, but I'm using a keyboard and a mouse.
Hardcore.
Yes, because that's what I play games with on my PC, and I am not switching. So the option has been given to me. I am sticking with it. I started it with a mouse and keyboard. I will finish it with a mouse and keyboard. I've had some thoughts on the game, to put it loosely, but I think
mildly,
yeah, mildly, yeah. But our later segment, once I've spoken a little bit about the game, is our. As I said, we're going to get mad. We're going to we're going to discuss game design and pain points and our fury at certain aspects of game design. But in general, the Dark Souls concept it's different. It's new. New. At the time, it was new. It's an interesting concept of like everything is lethal. You can everything is a problem, and you have to fight everything carefully, etc., etc. And they're like, oh, when you die, you lose everything, and you have to go back to the point you died and pick it up. And if you die en route, it sucks to be you. You lose all the things. And you can walk around and go in any of the directions, more or less. But some of them are gonna you're not well prepared for, so you're gonna get boned by, and other ones you are well prepared for, and you won't get boned by. But it has been it's been interesting to learn, I think. Interesting to learn. Let's put it like that. Yes.
it's good learning if you're learning experience, I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not normally what one plays video games for, but hey ho, we'll take it.
It's very true. I went into it. I think because you actually were the person who said you reckon I would probably enjoy it.
I was going to enjoy watching you play it, but yes.
to be fair, for the most part, I do enjoy the game. I think it's a very pretty game considering its age. It looks nice. There are some nice points where you get to praise the sun, and it looks glorious. And there are a lot. There is a story behind it, and I have enjoyed sort of trying to follow the story. But there are definitely parts which I have got very mad.
That's just sort of like I've watched other people play Dark Souls, and I know a little bit about it, but I've never played it myself. I know one of the things is it's one of those games where you just keep banging your head against a wall until you get through.
Yeah.
There are parts of it that make it's one of those games where you will get mad at the game at some point, and at some point you are just going to close the game and be like, right, I've got no, and then you'll come back and play it again in a couple of days' time. Like, yep, okay, banging the head again, banging the head until you get through. It's just one of those things.
It is, but it is different. I mean, I wasn't expecting character creation at the start, I'll be honest.
RPG mechanics, man.
Yeah, I didn't really know it was an RPG, to be fair. I sort of, in my head, I had like a hack and slash type thing. It's not a hack and slash, definitely not a hack and slash. I'm happy it's not a hack and slash. I'm not a fan of hack and slash. Like, button mashing, I can do button mashing, not really my thing. Yeah, so I was suddenly surprised by the character creation, and then all of the various classes and whatnot. And then when I went into it, I was like, right, this is an RPG. I see, but it's not an RPG.
Yeah, it's got RPG elements to it.
Yeah, but for the most part, I've enjoyed playing it. I've had some wonderfully lovely people turn up and chat and help me get through certain parts of it. Like a lot.
And you've also learned that the notes on the floor are not always helpful.
I did know that beforehand, to be fair. I went in knowing that.
Good.
I do not test most of the notes.
Yeah.
There are some where it's like, I lose nothing to test this, where they say like, oh yeah, there's a secret through this wall, and I'll be like, there's no downside to attempting the row into the wall and see what happens. But where it goes, oh, there's a secret path here and it's over a drop, and I'm like, no, there isn't.
No.
I'm not. I mean, even if there is, it's not worth it. I'm not testing that.
No.
Yeah. There was one that was like. Funny enough, the secret appeared after one of my deaths, but it said there was one of those weird insects in a box. But I'd already found the insect.
Helpful.
But I got the note afterwards, and then the note was there every time I died thereafter. But tis what tis.
I thought one of the good ones that, like the ghost replays, was when you were fighting those in that like wooden tiered bit with the poison arrow shooting guy. There's like a piece of armor or something hidden behind this wall, and you're standing there like, well, I can see it. It's there, but I can see that this guy just fell off the bloody cliff, so I'm not going near that. There's got to be another way. And it's like, yeah, I don't know how you get there, but you definitely don't want to do what that dude did, which was just roll straight off the side of the walkway and die.
Yes, yeah. I did eventually find that, because I'm still in that area. You just go around and climb up ladders and whatnot, and then you get round the other side.
I suspected that was what you would do.
Yeah. But that was entertaining to be like, yeah, that guy just straight up failed. Okay, I'll go this way. I won't try.
Yeah, the ghost player mechanic is quite a neat one for being like, huh.
Yeah.
Good to know there's some form of death ahead of me.
Yeah, it's when you walk into a room and you look around the room and there's like 8 blood pools on the floor, and you're like, there are no enemies. Okay, something's about to have happened. There are definitely going to be enemies.
Yeah. I don't trust you, empty room.
Yeah.
Either you're a mimic or there's something evil here. Oh look, evil!
Yeah. But then there are a couple of times where it happens and people die, and I'm like, the hell killed you? Like,
yeah.
What are you fighting that is killing you? Because there is nothing here.
That was always funny.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, where on earth did you pull these from? Because it must have been miles away.
Yeah.
Just running from skeletons for 20 minutes and die in a totally random place.
Well, it's like in the Firelink Shrine, there's a particular point you can go down like some stairs, and there are people fighting stuff and dying down there. And the only way to get enemies there is to go down a lift, hit something, and not kill it, which is hard to do because they die in one. You can kill them in one hit, and then drag them back onto the lift and take the lift up, and then not die on the journey up. I'm like, how have you managed this?
I mean, they're standing there blocking. That's all they've done for the entire lift is block, and drink.
You still take damage when you block.
Block and drink.
Yeah, I guess.
Just so they could die there to confuse people.
I don't get it. That, or maybe they attacked NPCs and the NPCs attack back.
Yeah, that might have been it. I could do it.
It's very strange. Okay, I think I've said all the nice things I can say about the game, so I'm just going to start raging about it now.
Cool.
The raging time. Because
game design fury, go.
Yeah, fucking game design fury. Because fucking hell, Betro had some of it as well. I'm on a roll now with Dark Souls. Go
for it, dude. Go for it. Let loose. Open up.
Yeah. Enemies changing direction mid-attack when you roll is bullshit.
Oh god, no. Okay, I can't really talk about it, but there's a game I'm playing a beta of, and it's really bad for doing that. Like, you will dodge roll, and it like they're mid swing and they just go, and I'm like, oh come
rotate.
On, what's the point in dodge rolling if they are going to auto hit you regardless? It's just like you've got to roll backwards because they can't hit you then because you're out of range. But if you roll round them, they just turn, and you're like, no, that's just not how this shit works.
Yep.
That is so annoying. Dodge mechanics are great, but don't have your things auto hit as long as they're in range.
Yeah, that's stupid. Also, if you're going to roll, if I roll sideways, have me roll sideways, not in this weird this like arc roll. It's not physically possible. I don't care if I'm locked onto the enemy. If I roll sideways, I want to roll sideways, not roll around it. I don't know how you've managed this movement.
Well, you're obviously a droidicar, clearly.
Yeah.
or like a penny that's just
Yeah.
rolling and
Yeah.
falling.
So yeah, that annoys me about the game. Is the whole thing is you've got to dodge certain moves, but then it's like, well, I can't dodge it because the game you were talking about, it sounds like you could dodge it if you rolled backwards. Against bosses, you can't roll backwards and dodge when they do those kind of moves because their attack range is so huge. You're going to get hit. It's supposed to be you roll to the side to dodge it, but when I roll to the side as they're swinging and then they spin on the spot and hit me, I'm a bit like, why do you do this?
Are you able to like break camera lock to roll?
You can break camera lock, yeah. You have to turn camera lock on.
I wonder whether or not you'd get a better like side roll if you turn off camera lock and
possibly
and then roll.
The one particular boss I'm thinking of, there wasn't enough space to roll, which was the other thing. It was one of the bosses that you had to fight and you had to kill, and a lot of the community hate because it's complete bullshit. So up until this boss, every boss you fight, it's just the boss on its own. There's nothing else in the room, so you can focus purely on dodging its attacks and moving around. This thing has dogs with it. It has little minions. And every time you take damage, you get stun locked. A little bit, briefly. You get locked in a damage animation. The dogs can hit you, and you stumble, and then the other one will hit you, and you stumble, and the other one will hit you, and you stumble, and the other one will hit you, and you stumble, and then the boss will kill you. And you never at any point get to move.
No. 1 second, let me just hit the nope button.
Yeah. The other thing that makes that just so much better, all the other bosses, you've got loads of space to move around and whatnot, and you don't just auto aggro the boss. You get to see it and be like, oh, there's something coming, I can start moving around and do stuff before it hits me. This one is in a smaller room than fucking any other room I've seen in the place. Like, it's tiny.
Of course.
And you walk through the white gate that gets there. And a couple of times I got hit before I could see through the white. Because it starts running towards you as you're walking through. And I was just like, I can't do anything about that.
It shouldn't... It really shouldn't proc until you are actually loaded into the room.
Yeah. I was like, that's dumb. Why do you do that? That's not what you should be doing.
No.
And then, it's... That annoyed me a lot, that particular thing. It's not always clear, specifically Dark Souls, what you're supposed to be doing. I guess there's an element... I know there's an element of sort of freedom to it, but it would be nice if there were people who offered insight into what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, Metro had a few points like that where I was like, okay, so what am I actually meant to do here? Like,
yeah,
where am I meant to go? What am I meant to be doing? And in the... Metro also has, like, in Exodus, there are like a bunch of boss fights, but they're not boss fights. They should just have been cinematics because you can't win. Like, it is designed for you to lose, but you've got to fight it, and it's got to like knock you down, and that's how you trigger the cutscene. And it's like, that's not fun.
Yeah.
Like I spent like 20 minutes running around this boss fight arena, blasting the crap out of this thing, and I'm like, okay, that thing is just eaten 500 rounds. It should be dead.
Yeah.
But it was still alive, and I'm like, what is this bollocks? And it's like, oh yeah, knocks you down. Oh, cutscene. This other guy saves you, and I'm like, nah, that dude buggered off. I shot this fucker. This thing should be dead. Like, don't have boss fights that are just cutscenes. Have a cutscene.
Yeah, just do a cutscene.
Have a freaking cutscene. Unbeatable boss fights are bullshit. Have a cutscene.
Yeah. What else has annoyed me about Dark Souls? So I know the game was designed to be a challenge, and I get that. I have no issue with games being a challenge. It has been interesting trying to play something like this. I don't like a game that is punishing intentionally. there's being a challenge, and then there's making sections that are too difficult to achieve.
I mean, I'm all for a very challenging game because, like I said, I'm a bit of a masochist. So yeah, I would play a game that is intentionally very hard, and I play basically every game. Because you only ever get one first playthrough of a game, I, generally speaking, tend to put it on the hardest difficulty and play it through on the hardest difficulty, because it's like you only get to experience that the first time, and every other time you play it, you already have done it. So even if you don't really remember how the game goes, you do have that sort of vague background knowledge of like, oh, this is what it's going to be. So I always try and play everything on the hardest difficulty first. So I'm all for a challenging game. I had a point to make and I've completely forgotten what it was.
Something to do with Dark Souls?
Where was it going?
Challenging, difficult, Dark Souls, unnecessary.
But but going back to that boss fight, it's basically impossible to win. There's having a challenging game that is meant to be really, really hard, and then there's having a boss fight or something or a section that just isn't actually practically feasibly possible to beat without either some glitch or some really low chance luck. Like, make it challenging, make it really skillful required, but don't make it practically impossible to beat. That's not fun.
Yeah.
Like, there's enjoyment and fun in beating a very challenging, very hard game.
Yeah.
But there's also something being just pure luck, because that's not fun. Like, no one enjoys winning by luck.
Yeah. It's like that boss fight that I was particularly railing against. Essentially, chat helped me out, and what I ended up having to do was purchase another spell, and I could apply a magic shield to my shield, which enabled me to temporarily block the boss's damage.
Right.
And then I could go up some stairs and stand on a tiny little ledge where I could stand, and the boss would. I just stand there. I just have to stand there blocking until the boss falls off, and then I can kill the dogs. And then I can attack.
So cheese.
Yeah, and then I can kill the boss. But that's basically the only way to go about it. And it's like, that's dumb.
That's so cheese.
Yeah,
that's. Yeah.
Which also,
I mean, how would you even win that boss fight if you weren't a magic user then?
I mean, anyone can learn magic, so basically everyone just has to go buy the staff that lets you do it and buy that spell and do that one spell once.
That must really suck if you're not planning on doing magic build, because then you've wasted that resource on buying that spell and that shield.
Yeah. Which
to use it once.
Yeah. Which I suppose it has its uses in other things, because it always enables you to block bosses, so maybe there's benefits later on. Excuse me, but that in itself is another thing that annoys me. The starting classes, it is not made clear how magic works from the start. I love my magic. I went and played magic. I wish I had not started magic right now.
Yeah. Magic. Yeah, swords and shields is the way forwards. Magic is hard.
Yeah. But there's no indication of that from the starting screen, and having to hybrid building magic and also building strength, because I can kill little things I can actually handle pretty well with magic for the most part, but bosses I can't.
Yeah, because like there's no mana regen, is there?
Yeah, it's just a limited use spell until you go back to your bonfire.
Whereas that stamina regen, so you can hack and slash basically to your heart's content, but you can only cast 5 spells until you've got a neck potion. And
they have a very, very short range. Most of them are within. When you cast your spell, you're within range to take damage from a boss. So you have to time it perfectly, because there's no animation cancelling.
Yeah,
there is no animation cancelling at all. The fuck.
Who needs to cancel animations to roll out the way of a giant sledgehammer? Like, who needs that in their life?
Fucking animation cancelling. If everything I do is about rolling, every time I attempt to input a roll, it should cancel whatever the fuck I'm currently doing. I should just be able to stop.
Dodges.
Yeah. I should be able to
Yeah,
stop.
definitely have a higher priority.
Like, you know, when I'm looking at something and I'm like, I don't know all of this boss's attacks, because you won't know. But the last 3 times I've gone in, I've done damage to this thing and rolled back, it's done this attack. So I know if I go and do that, I can roll back and I have time to drink. It's just changed its animation. Why is it changing its... I'm dead. Okay, I'm dead because I cannot cancel that animation. And it has not at any point in this death, or the previous ones, used that attack. Like, so how the fuck am I meant to know it does that?
There's the other side of that, though. Of, like, in Metro, like, if you were to be reloading and you do a med pack, you can't technically cancel the reload, but the animation still looks like it plays out. So if you go reload and heal, and you don't realise that you've cancelled the animation, you haven't reloaded, and you go bang, oh shit, there was only one round left in my clip, and you then need to reload, and you're like,
yeah.
Which is like, I love being able to animation like cancel, but if you're like just accidentally too quick on it, you don't realise you've not reloaded your weapon, and you're still in the shit.
That's fair. I just, in a game that relies so much on dodging and moving around, dodging should take animation priority over anything else. Because the other thing that's super annoying is it doesn't take priority, but they have input buffer instead, which is actually, when you can't cancel an animation, input buffer is super annoying.
Yeah. You're like, all right, I'm going to do 3 swings. Oh dear, I need to dodge. 1 swing, 2 swing, 3 swing, and dodge.
Yeah.
Oh dear, I've already been flattened.
Yeah. Or the other side of, I will dodge and make my attack, but I've dodged into another enemy who is now hitting me, and I can't do shit about it, and I've just attacked the air. Or I can see that attack coming through. I'm mid drink. I want to. It's like, I accidentally hit the attack button rather than doing the roll button, because I've just, I've misclicked and my panic, so now I'm just going to hit it, but because it's already attacking me, all I'm doing is taking damage. Input buffer has its uses, do not get me wrong. I like its use. I like being able to input buffer attacks. That's super useful. However, let me cancel it. Let me fucking cancel it. Let me roll back and cancel it.
No, denied.
I just,
you will die again.
Yeah. That's very stupid.
Hitboxes, man. Hitboxes are a big thing as well.
Yeah, hitboxes.
Holy crap, there were some hitbox issues in Metro. There were so many headshots that just didn't, like, they either didn't hit at all, or they counted as being like hitting in the chest, and I'm like, dude, the laser sight is between your eyeballs. How was that not a headshot? Which is really annoying when you're trying to sneak around. You've got a silenced weapon, and you're like, right, I'm just gonna cap that guy in the head, and oh wait, that didn't hit. What?
Yeah.
He's 8 foot from me. He should definitely have taken that straight to the brain pan. And now I've got the entire level is now trying to chase me down. This is not good. Hitboxes.
They get wrong in a lot of games. The advantage, at least with hitboxes, is they do steadily get better and better, because you can make them a bit more complex.
Yes, they are significantly better than they used to be. They aren't exactly squares anymore.
Yeah, they're not.
I do remember, like, 10, 12 years ago, probably, like, the hitbox on TF2 for the head was like a square, and if you stabbed as a spy someone in the face, you got the insta-kill backstab because it went through and hit the back of the box. So technically it counted as a backstab, which had this special insta-kill effect, rather than just taking the like 25-point damage that stabbing someone normally with a knife would do.
Yeah.
Which was hilarious bug, but it only worked if you stabbed someone in the face, because the hitbox was shallow enough that the knife blade would go from the front of the box to the back of the box and trigger that effect.
Yeah.
But they have gotten significantly better.
Well, yeah, they're normally not actually boxes anymore. They're actual shapes for the most part. Killing Floor 1 was my go-to for shoddy hitboxes, because most of the Zeds, when they moved, their head hitbox could sink into their chest and float above their head. It would like bounce around, which is always why I probably would be very bad. A sharpshooter was my go-to, weirdly enough, for Killing Floor 1 as it is for Killing Floor 2. But anytime I went an extended period of time without playing Sharpie in Killing Floor 1, I would become awful at headshotting things, because I had to relearn where the hitboxes were for their heads, because they didn't match where their head was.
Saying about heads, yeah, there's the Fuglies, as they are referred to in Metro. They have this really weird thing of the head would stay still, and like the rest of the body, it was the most disturbing thing about that game. Like, they're running at you and their head is perfectly level, and the entirety of the rest of their body is just articulating around their head.
Weird.
So like their shoulder, like if I do this, my head is moving, but my body isn't. Yeah. For them, their head would stay still, and the rest of their body would articulate around them.
Yeah.
And it was really creepy. And I'm not sure if that was intended to make it look creepier, or just a really odd bit of mesh animation. But whatever it was, it made shooting them in the head really hard, because their head never moved with the body.
Yeah.
And also really creepy as fuck.
Yeah. Super creep. Okay, I think I've raged enough. Actually, I think I've just got that. That was my major points.
Yeah, those invisible walls. I really hate invisible walls.
Oh, fuck invisible walls. Never put invisible walls in.
Especially, just put a fucking wall there. Like,
yeah.
If there's a window that's got no glass, I'm going to try and jump out of it. At some point, I will try and jump out of it and go search on the other side.
Yeah.
Just block it up with something.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got if you're blocking a stairwell with a bunch of crap, fill it with the bunch of crap. Don't make it impossible to climb over. I hate invisible walls. I get the idea that you're like, oh, we want to show off the skybox and all that, and that's lovely. You've spent a lot of time in the skybox, but if it looks like I can go through there, I'm going to try and go through there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say specifically in a more open world thing, don't put in invisible walls when you walk to another section, because there is a particular section in Exodus where you will walk through and it will put an invisible wall behind you, and you only find out once you've walked through.
Yeah,
and you can no longer go back.
Yep, and it's like, oh, well, that's annoying. I wasn't done there. Well, I guess I'm done there then.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you didn't have. I remember you didn't have the tools needed to get through something. I went looking for advice on how people get through it, because apparently lots of people get stuck there. Weirdly enough. Yeah. Without the things
shockingly
needed. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was like the first section that you needed to have gas mask filters, and you start the game with 0 gas mask filters basically. And there are very few points in the previous section where you need a gas mask on. So I'd never bothered to put any filters on. And then there's this one section where you've got to run through somewhere that's filled with poisonous gas. And it's like, well, there's no crafting table. I've got the chemicals and everything to build gas mask filters, but there's not a crafting table.
Yeah.
Luckily, you found out that you can, in fact, just sprint, sprint through it. Because otherwise, the game is soft locked. And I was like, that's just so bullshit.
Yeah.
And I had no save point that didn't have me stuck there.
Yeah.
It was so annoying. That really annoyed me.
Yeah.
And you could get back essentially to the exit, and it was like, yep, you're standing in front of the way to get out, but nope, there's an invisible wall there. And I'm like, come on, guys, all I want to do is get to the truck so I can build something.
Yeah. Yeah. It's if you're going to put a visible wall because someone walks into a new section, give a loading screen or something like that, and then some sort of warning about what's about to happen, because if there is
a save point beforehand as well.
Yeah, that's always a big indication. Because invisible walls suck. They suck. Nobody likes
really
an invisible wall.
No, they
Like, even if it's make it a not invisible wall, even if it's meant to act as an invisible wall, a way of blocking you from going in a certain direction, because it makes sense.
Yeah, just make make it physically blocking you. I think one of the most annoying parts of that was there was it was possible to get back basically within an inch of where you needed to go, and there's a gap, and you're like, nope, you can't go through there, and I'm like, for you to just put a wall there, I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah.
But there's no wall there. There's nothing physically stopping me, and I'm like, this is just designed to stop you doing it, and I'm like, but why?
Yeah.
But why?
Yeah. Why you do this? Okay. Well, do you have any more game design rage to do? Or have we raged out our system?
No. I think that's got my rage for the moment.
I'm suddenly feeling rather calm and relaxed. I feel like I've just got it out.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Properly,
I feel a lot better.
Yeah, vented out of the system. Wonderful. Well, in that case, I believe we have reached the end of episode 24. We've covered all the points we wish to talk through. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you've been watching live, if you've not watched live, do check out our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/FURN Gaming, where you can catch the FURNcast live normally every third Sunday of the month. There is some changes every now and again, if only because sometimes we use the fourth Sunday because there's a Sunday on the first of a month, and we're like, that doesn't count. We don't count
calendar. You are wrong.
Yeah, that Sunday doesn't count. It's not the first Sunday of the month. That Sunday still belongs to the previous month.
It's the fifth Sunday in the previous month.
So if you're watching this on any of the various platforms where where you can now find the podcast, the FURNcast, there are many now. Then do come along, tune in to it live. Go check out our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. You can check out our Patreon, which would be patreon.com/FURN Gaming, and you can come join our Discord, because we do have a Discord channel. You can join our Discord and you can come talk to us about whatever things you may desire to talk to us about. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Nathan, for coming along.
No problem.
And we will hopefully see you in some of our other stuff. This will be on YouTube. You can watch this back on YouTube as well, which you can also find our other various content for things like mostly Dungeons and Dragons campaigns, but there is other stuff on there too. Thank you. Have a good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time of the world time it is for you, wherever you're in the world, and goodbye.
Bye.